Hello and welcome to Forgotten Frights. I'm Josh and I'm sitting here with Adam.
Hey.
And today on the podcast we are reviewing the 1973 horror film Theater of Blood, directed by Douglas Hickox and starring Vincent Price, Diana Rigg, and Ian Hendry. Here's the trailer.
Now is the winter of our discontent.
Critics are likely to make enemies, Inspector.
Inspector, are you saying that some lunatic in the theater might be trying to kill us all?
The play fails. Career's ruined. Plenty of motivation there, she think.
We therefore commit his body to the ground.
At last, a headline.
His head cut.
He's after you all. You deliberately humiliated me before the press, my public and my peers.
Shylock may claim a pound of flesh.
Surely the entire might of the London police force can prevent us from being killed.
We shall see. I will grind your bones to dust.
What's the next murder, Inspector?
Intended murder, you mean, Sergeant? Stop, I haven't finished yet. One is irresistibly reminded of a ham sandwich. My reputation.
All right, there was the trailer for Theater of Blood from 1973. Before we get going, Adam, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. These two films have been, I think, pretty interesting. I think we talked in the last episode that they kind of like bled together a little bit. Blood being the joining factor. Now, I think though, Theater of Blood though is far more distinct, and I think it's because it's less confusing to me than Madhouse. I felt Madhouse was very direct in what it was doing, but I also felt like I had to think more about the plot, if that makes sense.
I think I agree with you. I feel like there were a lot of things in Madhouse that were you kind of had to go back and research almost.
Yeah.
Like, who are these people? Whereas Theater of Blood is more straightforward.
It's,
you know exactly what the premise is and how it's unfolding.
Yeah, and it's pretty. And I haven't seen it, but there's some relationship I think in the plot to Dr. Phibes, and that it's coming from the spirit of that thing. It's very much a revenge film, haunted palace. It's got somebody trying to exact justice on people he feels that have wronged him in some way, shape, or form. But regardless, I think getting into this film, it's pretty straightforward. I really enjoyed this film. We will get to it. But there's a couple of things I think worth touching on. Number one, the intro to this film is really cool. If you're ready to just start talking about it, I guess we can get into it. I think the intro to this film is really cool. That kind of Renaissance portraits, and then they have it's like very flighty classical music.
Yeah.
It definitely ties into the whimsical nature of this film.
Yeah.
Because this film gets pretty gruesome. I think there's some pretty grueling stuff in here, but it's never without, I guess it would be never without heart. But it would also be never without kind of some playfulness.
It's the balance of humor and horror in this movie. I feel like, I don't know if it's something you can look back on, like this is one of the first movies to do that, but I think it's one of the first movies to do horror and comedy well. Yeah,
what is I gotta stop hitting that thing. Have we done a film yet that has a good balance between humor and Tales of Terror, maybe? I think the one segment.
Yeah, I would say what was it?
Black Cat?
The Black Cat, yeah. That episode in the sequence was very good. And, I think Laurie and Vincent Price both played that up, for the humorous aspect.
It was very good.
It was very good.
This film does, and we'll talk about some of those moments, but it does some really, I think honestly, like really funny things that are, that I was like, that's really humorous. That's very interesting the way they did that. So, one other thing is I had to think, it's called Theater of Blood, and then I always see theater, Theatre, compared to Theater. And I know there's some difference. Some people say I've heard it as described as like the theater is a place with an ER you go to watch movies, and the RE is where you go to live stage production. I looked it up because I was curious, and you hear lots of weird things as far as etymology, but the difference between a theater and a theater RE is regional spelling differences.
I just thought it was British, yeah.
And that's really, so we use theater, though, I guess some people use it stateside for THEATER is for live stage performances and movie theaters, so there's no distinction there. But the other distinction is that in more classical venues or more artistic, the preference is THEATRE, so such as the Lincoln Theater has the RE as opposed to the ER. So I think if you're going to create a difference between the two, the ER theater is where you go to watch like popcorn movies, and the RE is where you go to watch people be pretentious, I guess.
RE seems more highfalutin.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
But otherwise, there isn't really anything. I got curious because I was talking to somebody about it recently, and I'm like, why isn't this Theater of Blood as opposed to Theater of Blood? It sounds very very American, very Western.
Yeah.
We're going down to the theater.
Theater of Blood.
Would you like to hear some of the taglines to Theater of Blood?
I'd love to.
Okay. So the first one, and I pulled these off of a website. I tried to look up some on posters, so some of them may, there's a lot for this film, so some of them may have actually appeared, some of them might not have. Some of them definitely seem like they should have. The first one is Theater of Blood, at your own risk.
Thumbs down.
The next one is It's Curtains for His Critics.
Okay.
Some alliteration there.
Yeah.
The next one is Vincent Price has reserved a seat for you in the Theater of Blood.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then this last one is He gave the critics a bloody and violent taste of their own medicine.
A little too on the nose, but yeah, I get it.
And then this one says Vincent Price dresses as characters from Shakespeare and commits acts of violence that are ironic, and they have a twist to them. What do you think about that one?
I wonder what they're getting at.
Okay, I just made that one up.
Oh.
Vincent Price, whose name is Lionheart, actually. Okay. So, we can get this going. The film starts with a critic named George Maxwell. He wakes up, he's reading the paper. He then leaves his wife. It's the Ides of March. And he leaves his wife to, I'm not sure I even understood this, but he went to go remove vagrants.
Yeah, one of their buildings, I guess.
Okay, so he must be
because they're a landlord or I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty.
I thought he was a cop, and then he was like, "No, he's a critic."
Yeah.
And I was like, he's got a lot of power.
And he's kind of ballsy, too, because he's just walking in and there's just a bunch of people there.
Get out of here.
He's talking to them like they're cats.
Yeah, he is.
They're
kicking at him.
Just kind of hitting them with his umbrella.
So, because they're the London Critics Society. I think he's a part of that whole group that we will come to know and love before the film is out. But he goes there and he's just kind of, and I don't know if this is this like a part of the theater that he's removing them from, or is it just a building he owns?
I'm assuming it's a building that is either an interest in his work, or I don't think it's part of the theater at all. I think he's being lured there to take these vagrants out, and that's how they got him.
So he's like, I'm a theater critic. I also am a slumlord.
Also a landlord.
Okay, that's not. In my brain, I couldn't make sense. I'm like, so he's writing a weekly critical analysis of the theater, and then he's also controls these
Fixing
buildings.
toilets.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't. So anyway, he tries to go shoo these vagrants out, and this turns into Julius Caesar very quickly. They all start picking up weapons. They chase him through the building, the vagrants do, and they corner him on some, like, I thought it was pretty cool. They, like, he gets pushed up against this plastic wrap that's acting as a partition, and they just start stabbing him like crazy. And then he like rips through the plastic wrap, and there's like blood all over it.
Great
like,
scene.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
And then he goes through, and then there's, in one of the many amazing Vincent Price costumes in this film, he's dressed like an English Bobby, and the guy runs up to him, and Vincent Price is just very sarcastic. It's just like, gotcha, you know. And then the guy falls down, and in a really cool shot, it's like beneath the he falls on George Maxwell, the critic who's been stabbed. He falls on this like grating, and the camera is underneath the grating, looking up at his face, and there's blood like dribbling out of his mouth, and you start to see the blood is pooling up around his mouth, and then as Vincent Price is over him as well, and you can kind of see both of them through a slat, the blood starts dribbling down over the ledge and like toward the camera. Yeah. It's such a cool shot. Yeah. It's really neat. It reminded me of what would be who am I thinking of? Carrie and Blowout. What is his name?
De Palma?
Yeah, it was very like De Palma-esque, or I guess it would be Hitchcock in that way. Yeah. So just a really interesting way to show that, and then you know, Vincent Price is just being cheeky the whole time, you know, because the guy says he right before he dies, he looks at Vincent Price and he says, "I thought you were dead," and Vincent Price is like, "I'm not, but you are."
No, you.
Yeah. And then he said, "Gotcha," and then he ran away. So right after that, Price then gives a rousing rendition of Julius Caesar. We get the setting now of where he's living, which is inside this busted up theater, and there's a name for it. But
the Hippodrome?
Yes, is that the? It's the Putney Hippodrome, I think, in real life.
Oh, gotcha.
So it was filmed at the Putney Hippodrome. It's called the Burbage Theater, I think, in the film. Okay. I might have that backwards, but I think that's what.
No, I think it is the Hippodrome.
That's where
reality.
That's where it was.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So he's there, and it's like a old dilapidated place. From what I was able to research too, I think it was out of commission when they filmed there, and so that's probably what it looked like.
Yeah. And he's in full makeup, Julius Caesar makeup.
Yes, and he's like the vagrants are very like rowdy and not listening, and he he's got like a secondhand man who's like a secondhand man and Batman,
the Bob character.
Yes, the Bob character, and he comes up and Vincent Price is just kind of like, "Will you go like get them to pay attention because they're being like unruly?" And the guy goes out there and just starts kicking the crap out of people and like throwing them around. And they still just won't like listen, and Vincent Price is like big eye roll, just like, "Oh God, like what I have to go through for this." So there's an investigation into the critic's death, and then we learn that Vincent Price, they call him he's like, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's this guy was murdered," and they bring up Lionheart, who's Vincent Price's character, and the one critic they're talking about it, he's like, "Oh, he was quite a vigorous actor," so you get a sense that they just really disliked him to begin with.
Yep.
And that he was, I think probably they were erring on the side that he's very hammy and that he's very like
overactor,
yes, melodramatic, that sort of thing. And so they're not very praising of his work. This is where we meet kind of everybody in the London's critics circle. They're just like pompous intellectuals. They're very, all about themselves, up their own butts. Mm-hmm. And then they discuss that Price had died by jumping into the river. Is it Thames or is it Thames?
I think.
I know I've always seen that word spelled out. I never know if it's Thames or Thames, but I think it is Thames. The River Thames.
Yeah.
And this is because he didn't get the Critics' Choice Award.
Was this when they did the flashback?
Not yet. So that comes like much later in the film.
All right.
But they discuss it.
Yes.
And so you get two things here. You get A, that he was a vigorous actor, and B, that he's so obsessed with his acting and being seen as an actor that he would kill himself to not receive a Critics' Choice Award from the London Critic Society. So I think there's some humor in that. It's very like, like who cares? But he's so like And he's willing to go to like great lengths to be like, you must award me this legitimately.
Yeah, I'm clearly the best
Yes.
actor. Yes.
And that's actually one thing. So when he's doing Julius Caesar, his right-hand man comes up and is like, do you not understand that he's the greatest living actor and you guys are not paying attention to him? And that's just so like, it's so funny. Because he's clearly just hamming it up there, and he's just the only audience he has are these like drunken, destroyed people.
Yeah, and they're drinking meth.
Yeah, okay, so I had to look it up because it's purple, like beer bottles.
It's described as meths.
Yes,
the meths drinkers.
Which I need to look that up because I what I found is it's called Bishop, and it's a I have it here. It is let me see. It's in here somewhere. Let me find it. Okay, they are all drinking purple juice. It's Bishop, a traditional mulled wine or spiced port drink. It was a favorite among actors and theatrical circles in Britain. So I think they were trying to tie the fact that they're vagrants, but they were tying the idea of this purple drink, which I think is also referred to as meths.
Okay, that's in the credits. It said it called them the meths.
Yes,
drinkers.
the meths drinkers. So
that was my okay.
And I think it's just Bishop is also meths because the color. I was just curious about the color because I'm like, why are they drinking this vibrant purple drink? And the color comes from wine mixed with citrus and spices, and so you get the mulled wine, and then it's the additive. But it looked like something from like Ghostbusters. It was like a crazy, It was a crazy lava lamp drink. So
it looked like fuel almost.
Can you I was gonna say, can you just slide that a little bit that way? Okay. It looked like fuel. It did. So then we get the second. Hector Snipe is the next critic, and feel free to add whatever as we go. I'm just kind of just running through this chronologically speaking. Hector Snipe and Vincent Price then have a discussion. I don't know why Hector Snipe is there. They're in the theater, and that other actor shows up. The one who gets speared and then shows up at the funeral.
I don't remember why he's at the theater either. I feel like he was outside. He was walked in by. Was it by a girl or was it by Vincent Price's right-hand man?
Maybe his right-hand man?
Yeah, but I think he was just interested in the theater, or I'm not sure. But yeah, he's basically led into the theater.
Okay, so he's lured there because this happens a few times.
Yep.
As he gets lured there. So anyway, he gets lured, and then Vincent Price is like, "Don't you remember what you said about me?" And he's like, "Not really." And then Vincent Price is like, "You said this and this," and he's like, "But I meant it in a good way," because then he realizes like everyone around him wants him dead, and so then they his vagrants like grab him and hold him hostage, and then Vincent Price dressed in all black. I don't remember from what exactly.
It was Troilus.
Troilus, yes,
and Cressida.
Yeah, so it's the Troy in the Trojan War. So he takes the spear and he stabs him as he's being held there. The Hector Snipe character is impaled, more or less. And then we cut to the previous critic's funeral, the one who was stabbed to death like Julius Caesar. All the London Critics Society is at his funeral, and they're just discussing, this guy is dead, whatever. They all like leave, and as they're leaving, then Hector Snipe's body, who's just been impaled by the spear, he's tied to the back of a horse, and so his body comes trundling down like the road, and all the critics are kind of standing around watching this happen, and the horse pulls up, and like they flip the guy's body. Ian Hendry, who plays Devlin, one of the other critics, and he'll be the critic we probably stay with the longest. They flip his body over, and he's just like, he looks like he's just been literally tied to a horse.
It's like hamburger, yes.
Yes, it like really bad. And so they're like, uh-oh, I think we have a trend. So we go on from there. We have Hector Snipe We have that. Nope, that's good. Yes, Troilus. Was it Troilus and Cressida or Cressida?
Yep. That was the spear and the horse.
And then the critics visit Price's daughter. I think Devlin visits Price's daughter to ask if he was back to terrorize everybody. I think they were just like, why are these critics who are, were so mean to Lionheart, Vincent Price's character? Because I think they must have started drawing parallels to the fact that it's Shakespearean inspired, and that the only other person that could have been was maybe Lionheart.
Yeah, there was a point in the movie, and I don't remember where. I don't remember where in the killings this was finally put together. But yeah, there's the inspector or not Hendry. I'm sorry, Devlin and the inspectors. They kind of figure out, this is they're seeing that the murders are done due to these in the same sense as the Shakespearean plays.
Yes, and do you have his daughter's name? It's like Edwina or
Edwina? Yes, Edwina.
Okay. Yeah. And then Ian Hardy. So Ian Hardy plays the critic.
Ian Hendry.
What did I say?
Hardy.
Ian Hendry. He plays the critic Devlin, and Ian Hendry. He's from Tales from the Crypt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where I noticed him from, and he's in the segment Reflections of Death.
Yep.
And I think that's the one where he dies in the car accident.
And then it keeps happening. Yeah.
Yes, and then he finally sees himself in the mirror, and he's like,
Yep.
So I knew him from somewhere. He looked very familiar. But and then she's like, no, my father's dead. Like, he has not come back to life to terrorize you all. This is not
the way
happening.
you think.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess so. So then Price is continuing another Shakespearean performance in his underground lair. I love that they keep cutting back to he's just got this like underground.
The lair's great.
It's just like, it's awesome. And then he's discussing this large chest. It's like literally a large treasure chest that they have. And they deliver it to Horace Sprout's house, who's another critic. They can't get it open, but it's just like right in their bedroom. So
yeah, they come home from like a show or dinner, the critic and his wife, and it takes them a minute to even notice that there's a chest in the room. Mm-hmm. And she's annoyed. She's like, well, get it out of here. So he tries to move it, and he's like, it's too heavy. Yeah. She's like, I want it gone first thing in the morning. They just sleep with it in the room.
Like, you don't even know what's in there. Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, I just try to, like, every time I see those things, I immediately go, what would I do? Like, what? If I just, like, walked in my bedroom and there's a giant chest, I'm like, I'm kind of tired, though. I did just take,
I got to figure this out by the end of the week.
I will come back to you as I pat it on the top. So what I also found funny is that middle of the night, a secret hatch opens up and Vincent Price is in there, and then he has to stick his arm out with the key to unlock it. Like they didn't set it up so he could open it up from the inside. So anyway, he unlocks it. He gets up, and I think in one of the funnier moments of the film, they get dressed up as doctors.
They're already in scrubs.
Oh yes, so they're already in scrubs. He and his right hand man. They have all the doctor's utensils and stuff out. They keep hitting the guy's wife with a hypodermic needle full of like sleeping agent. They do it like
right in the butt.
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 times. She keeps waking up, and he's like, hypodermic needle, and then they just stick her in the butt, and she falls back asleep. The guy, meanwhile, they put like a full like whatever that is, like the full not a smock, but like
put a gown on him.
Yeah, and they put it like around his neck.
Yeah.
And then they just start getting to work, and there's just like gouts of blood that are like just coming out.
It just sprays up.
Yes, and so his wife is covered in it.
He's annoyed. Like Vincent Price is annoyed that his assistant doesn't have like the bowl there to catch the blood. He's like, bowl, bowl.
He like rolls his eyes at one point. He's like, oh my god, which was making me think I couldn't. I was going to tell you guys about it because I couldn't. A funny thought crossed my mind of like a serial killer who's got like a bag of heads in a bag, and he's walking up a flight of stairs, and for whatever reason he drops the bag of heads, and the heads start rolling down the stairs, and the serial killer looks to camera and says like, there are days and there are days. And I can't remember what that's from, or if there's something like that.
The saying?
Just a murderer doing something that's really macabre, and then being like, you know what I mean, guys?
Yeah, do you remember? I think I know what you're talking about.
And I can't pinpoint what it is, but it was cracking me up that I'm like, that would be very funny.
Do you want me to tell you now, or you want me to tell you?
Is it a part of this? It's not a part of this movie.
No.
Tell me now. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a Mr. Show sketch.
Okay.
Where Bob Odenkirk is playing he kidnapped a guy's son.
Okay.
And so he ends up cutting his own toe. He thinks he cuts the kid's toe off, but he ends up cutting his own toe off.
And he says that.
And David Cross on the other line is like, "No, I have my son." And then Bob puts his foot up on the table, and there's a bandage where his toe used to be, and then he's like, "There are days, and there are days."
That's it. And I couldn't figure. I'm like, how macabre was this thing? Was it a bag of heads? Was it something?
No.
It's just Bob Odenkirk with his foot on the table. There are days, and there are days. So that's.
I gotta let you go. The cops are here.
Yeah. Darn it, that is funny. But that's the exact impression I got. It's just, he's like doing this gruesome thing, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I can't believe it."
Yeah.
But
even when he's having his assistant mop his forehead, like it's so over the top.
Yeah,
and he's like, yes, mop my forehead. I'm really, it's just like it's so silly.
So then they, we cut to the morning. The wife wakes up. There's the maid comes in with like a tray, and goes to wake everybody up. She sees the guy's corpse in bed, screams and passes out. His wife wakes up, and I don't know if she shakes him or what it is, but then his head falls off the corpse and rolls onto the floor. The maid wakes up again, sees the head, and again is like,
that was a great scene too. The way that they have the guy's head on the floor, it looks
and then it's just like a slow zoom up on the decapitated head. Very very cool. So then we cut to the fourth critic. We're 3 down. We cut to the fourth one, and this is Trevor Dickman, and he is persuaded by one of the vagrants, female vagrant, to go to the Theater of Blood.
And this is where I started to think, okay, so this lady, she seduces him to come with her to the theater alone, and this is where I first started. I'm like, stop going places by yourselves. You guys already suspect that something is happening. Obviously, like 3 critics of your society are dead. What? Stop going by yourself to things.
Yeah.
But here he goes. And he seemed like he was a little cheeky guy too. Like he's just like, "Ooh, yeah, baby."
Yeah, because when she's like talking to him in the restaurant, she meets him there, and he's like putting his hand on her thigh and like putting his arm around her, and he's like, "Oh,
licking his lips too much." Yeah.
And it's funny you bring that up too, because by the 7th critic, I was like, why aren't the cops like? They should all have personal.
They made a point of that at one point,
like
too.
Police officers.
At one point, Ian Hendry says, or Devlin says, I would hope that the entire force and might of Scotland Yard could keep us safe.
Yeah.
And then the Inspector Boot with the curly eyebrows, amazing. He just kind of looked like, I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know.
It seems like because you have a serial killer on the loose who's murdering people in quick and like dramatic
fashion, yes.
And they're just kind of like, let's let this play out.
Fine.
We'll see. So anyway, Trevor Dickman goes to the Theater of Blood, where Vincent Price is dressed like Shylock from The Merchant of Venice and is giving a rousing portrayal of that particular piece of literature. And then this ends with Trevor Dickman being held down, and Vincent Price cuts his heart out, which he holds up. And so he's, it's just very well established at this point that he's like, okay, you remember the review you gave me for this play or for this particular piece, and now I'm going to kill you because it was bad. So I was like, okay, we've got it now. We then go to the 5th critic. Now I didn't see this one, but this critic, I don't have their name, but they're killed off screen in a barrel of wine. Did we actually see that?
Killed on screen.
Oh, we did see it. Okay, because I didn't.
He's down. He's down there. He's on it's a wine tasting, or I don't know,
Okay.
but
I don't know how he missed this whole scene.
he's enjoying all, he's getting drinks on the way, and he's in a wine or a bar or a pub of some sort, but then he walks downstairs with a group of people, like everything's gonna be fine, and it's down in the catacombs of this place. And no, the vagrants, they basically Vincent Price, I forget what it's from the play Richard III.
Yes, he's Duke of Clarence.
Yep, and he
or the Duke of Clarence is the one who gets drowned.
Right.
In Richard III, yeah.
And so basically Vincent Price gives a bit of a monologue, and then they pick him up and they put him legs first into this barrel of wine. Or at first they kind of put his head in a couple of times.
Yeah.
Let him catch his breath, and then they just, put him right in the barrel, and he's done.
And then we cut to the sixth critic, Peregrine Devlin, who is going for fencing, and this is Ian Hendry.
Yep.
And he is just going for his regular fencing.
Solo fencing at night by himself.
And there's, by himself, of course. And then there is Vincent Price in a, also dressed like a fencer with a face mask and everything. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just here. Would you like to spar with me?" And
he's got the mask on, so you can't tell that it's Edward Lionheart. Yep.
Yes. And then Ian Hendry agrees. They start, right before they start fencing, he goes, "Hey, your sword doesn't have a tip on it, or it doesn't have the ball thing on it." And he said, Lionheart says, "Oh, you noticed." And then he takes Ian Hendry's off, and he says, "Well, now we're both, it's fair game." And then he takes his mask off, and he goes, "It's me. You criticized me, and now I'm going to get you." And then he puts the mask back on just in time, because now he's got a perfect V shape to his body, and he's like a foot shorter, but he's just far more built. So I'm not sure, if they got him to exercise.
They have a tremendous. This scene is great.
Yeah, it is. It is a great scene.
They're on the trampolines. At one point, Edward Lionheart does like this bounce off a small trampoline and does sort of a half flip.
Yeah,
it's doing this crazy stuff.
The body double here for Vincent Price had me laughing, because he's got like delts, and he's like, and they're sword fighting up the stairs, and then it cuts to where he takes the mask off again, and it's just like back to like Vincent Price's tall, soft body,
stooped over a 6'4" guy.
Yes, and then he's like wiping sweat from his brow. Woo, Yeah, but then when they hit they have a little like discussion, not even a discussion, but he's like, they're angrily yelling at each other. Vincent Price kind of has him cornered with his sword, and is like, you ridiculed me, you did this, you did that. And then they continue fencing, and then they hit the trampoline, and they're both like you said, they're like, they're jumping back and forth and like sword fighting. And then Devlin's at this point, he's like been cut like a number of times.
Yeah, he's wounded him a couple of times. Yeah.
And he passes out, and then Lionheart says, I'm not going to kill you now. I have something in store for you. And then he leaves. So it's at this point, I think, when he has him cornered and he's bleeding, right before Devlin passes out, that we get that flashback. And the flashback goes to Lionheart wakes up. He's thrown himself into the Thames, and the vagrants pull his body out to kind of ransack him.
Right, but there was they also did they had the scene where they were actually, after they gave the award to the other actor, they actually showed Devlin jumping off of the balcony.
Oh, they did. See, that must have been right around the wine barrel scene.
Okay, that was earlier in the movie, and so it basically just showed everything they had talked about, where his daughter was there, where she's trying to talk to him, but he's just very upset about not getting the award. He goes out on the balcony. They're still kind of poking fun at him, like, "Oh, you're doing so good."
Yeah.
And then he just jumps off the balcony, and his daughter witnesses the whole thing.
Okay.
But yes, then he's found by the vagrants. This is where you're.
See, and I feel like with that idea, that this should be like, this is very Phantom of the Opera adjacent. We have somebody who, but I guess what I mean is, by all rights, he should be like disfigured. He should be like this monster who comes back and is like. But I guess that would just be Dr. Phibes, right? That would just be, that would just pretty much. So he's like, So the fact that he goes to commit suicide, I guess, is just the ruse, more or less, to get him to then, because I guess what is the difference between him killing himself or attempting to and then disappearing and him just like disappearing?
Yeah.
Is it just showing that he's that? I guess it just shows that he's that. He cares that much about the award, and so that should be his driving.
Yeah, but also you
break.
have to make that. Did he jump thinking he was going to die? Because he was found.
I guess so, right?
He was found by the vagrants, and he didn't seem like he. He was very. It was a shock to him. He didn't know who they were, and they took him in. So maybe that's that was his. Supervillain origin story.
Yeah, that's what that's like more of what I wanted. A little bit more of that is just what's the, what's going on here. But regardless, we get the seventh critic. Wouldn't this be Solomon Sultry? Is that 7?
This was where he walks in on his wife getting massaged.
Yes, Vincent Price breaks into, or he shows up to Solomon's house, and his wife is laying in bed, and he starts giving her a back massage. He's making it sound very much like they're having sex with each other. Mm-hmm. And Solomon shows up, and he's outside the door, and you hear like the creaking bed, and she's in ecstasy because she's getting a back massage. Meanwhile, Vincent Price is giving her the back massage, and he's got like big sunglasses on and like a fake beard, and he just looks. It's like right around this time when you realize just like, oh, this is like the 70s, because some of his disguises are like hilarious.
Oh, the next one.
The next one is amazing. So then Solomon just like he comes in and he breaks through the door. Vincent Price quotes Othello to him, and then Solomon kills his wife.
Pushes past Edward Lionheart.
Yes.
And just strangles his wife.
Yeah. And then we cut to the police are there. Vincent Price is gone, and Solomon's being arrested. And apparently, while he's not dead, that's ruined his life. He's imprisoned. Assuming for the rest of his life, something.
Yeah.
And at this point, they talk. There's only 3 critics left.
And wasn't Devlin at the crime scene?
Yeah, so
because I think he says he's as good as dead because he's in prison for the rest of his life, and it's like this guy gets around. Like this guy is sort of like part of the police now.
Yes, which I don't. It's actually like I guess before we get there, he says that too, and there's like just blood still pooling from his shirt. He's like, "Oh, I really got to go to the hospital. I don't know.
Get a bandage.
I should have gone there first." Yeah. But it's kind of like Halloween 3. Where you have Daniel Chalice.
Yeah.
He's just a doctor, but he's also an investigator.
I thought he was a cop.
Yeah, I always thought he was a cop, but he's just a doctor, and he goes and investigates this stuff. So it's like in this way, he's like, I'm an art critic and amateur sleuth.
Yeah.
And so, because he's like all over the place. All I could think is that he's like, I guess I am the good guy. I guess I am the hero of this story. We get the 7th critic, Miss Chloe Moon. And this has probably the best disguise, right? Of the best Vincent Price disguise in the film happens.
It is. I don't know if it's the best, but it is absolutely. It is. It's
the only. I mean, I love the Shylock disguise is amazing because he's really into the character at that point.
Yeah.
This one is great because he has a giant afro. Sunglasses. He's wearing like what do you even call that shirt? It's kind of like an old school Henley, but it's like a billowy hippie shirt.
It's like a floral print. It's Disco Stew.
Yes.
He's dressed like Disco Stew.
Have we seen Vincent Price act in like so? He's always flamboyantly, and I don't even more so in like his charisma as he's very like melodramatic and very like. But have we seen him so? I don't know, what do you even call that? He's really invested in this other character, and he's just so like, I don't even know, silly? Is it silly? I don't know
if it's. I know what you're saying. He's all in.
Yes,
he is all in.
It would be like if he was playing like Truman Capote or something. It's just like a whole different. He's like, I'm doing something different here. It's great. It's very and. It fits so nicely within the mood and tone of the film. Mm-hmm. It weaves perfectly, even though it's ridiculous. It's just like it's perfect for what's going on. So then she gets Miss Chloe Moon, she gets put in one of the...
she gets taken downstairs alone.
Yep, and the cop is like, you'll be fine. You're just getting your hair done.
All the other critics have died, but I'm going to sit up here, so I can't help you.
And I have no idea who you are. Yeah.
Yep. And then probably the most Rube Goldberg device used in the movie.
Can you explain this to me? Because I only
I guess Rube Goldberg it's not Rube Goldberg, but it's just so like there's like wires coming out. There's like jumper cables onto in the hair curler.
Okay.
And so he's like hooking her head up basically he's gonna like zap her head and good.
Yeah, and he does because she starts smoking, and I think in one of the funnier moments of this is she's smoking and she's screaming and it's awful. His Vincent Price's right-hand man is just sitting in the other chair reading a magazine, and there's just like what I would have only imagined burning flesh, stink, and smoke is like swirling around him, and he's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it like the cooking smell goes all the way upstairs, and the cop is reading a magazine too, and he's like, uh-oh.
And it's really smoky by the time
smoky.
He looks up from the magazine.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh, man.
Man, I shouldn't have left her alone.
I'm going to get in trouble.
I'm losing my job. And he runs downstairs, and they're gone except for the corpse, the electrocuted corpse of Miss Chloe Moon.
Yep.
So now we have Devlin, who's been making the rounds. He meets up with Edwina, who convinces him, come with me to this. I don't remember where she said, but let's go to this place together. I think in kind of in an effort to like we can stay safe this way and we can investigate too.
Essentially, yeah, she wants him to go with her, and then because she knows something about where her father's whereabouts, but she says, you got to come alone, and we can't, I don't want the cops involved, whatever.
Yeah.
He's scared. She says that her father is scared that he's going to get shot on the spot.
Yeah. I mean, he's murdered 7 people now.
Yeah. And so he agrees. Devlin agrees.
We then cut to Vincent Price, who has they're making a mask that looks like him for one of the vagrants. And I couldn't help but notice that he's dressed like Dom DeLuise, not Vincent Price, but the double is with the mask. The vagrant's dressed like Dom DeLuise. He's got kind of like a bar hat on and big sunglasses. And then he's got kind of a goatee-ish thing like a Dom DeLuise. But he does look like thin Dom DeLuise. It doesn't look like Vincent Price to me at all.
I don't remember that.
And Vincent Price is just like, he's like, yeah, that looks great. Like, that looks so good. Like, that doesn't look like him at all. But then he's like, we've got this under wraps, and I'm going to be making pasties. And he starts like mixing he's got like a mixing bowl right there that
he cracks an egg into the bowl and starts whisking.
In this theater, it's so silly. So they go to we've got Meredith Merridew, who at this point it should be the 8th critic. And Meredith Merridew is an eccentric. He gets up in the morning. He's got 2 dogs, and he goes down to his kitchen. Before he can open the shades on it.
He gets escorted to his house by the cops.
Okay.
And the cops are like, okay, go into your house by yourself.
Goodbye.
So then he goes into his house by himself. He calls his dogs his babies.
Yes.
And then, yes, he opens a curtain to the rest of his house, and there's Edward Lionheart and his whole gang.
And they're pretending to be a show called This Is Your Dish.
There's like a reality show where they show up to your house and make you food.
And Merridew was like, oh my God, if I would have known, I've always wanted to be on This Is Your Dish, and finally I am. And Vincent Price is like, well, come sit over here, and we've made you these pasties. And so he sits down and he starts eating. We get meanwhile, we cut back to the Vincent Price lookalike is just driving a car and the cops are chasing him.
Yeah, so basically before that happens, Vincent Price and his crew go into the critic's house, they have the double that looks like Lionheart drive by, so the cops all chase him. And that whole thing where the cops are trying to drive, they're like almost crashing into each other. Pretty funny scene.
It is.
But they're like tearing off trying to get him, so that they basically have cleared the way so that nobody can stop what's about to happen.
And there's like where they end up in a parking lot and they're all just driving in like a big circle.
Yeah.
I love it.
And Dom DeLuise is just getting messed up on meths.
Yeah, he's like drinking and driving.
Yep.
And then we cut back to Merridew, who at this point Vincent Price reveals like
he's housing this pie. I mean,
Yes.
he's eating. It looks like chicken chunks in like a white gravy. It was pretty gross.
It's pretty gross. And then Vincent Price is like, "Oh yeah, here's your dogs, by the way." And they're like 2 pies with dog
There's
heads.
2 poodle heads on underneath the cloche. He lifts up the cloche, and there's 2 poodle heads. And then they start force feeding the critic with a funnel, and he's just pushing the pie.
Yeah, he's
into
got
his
like
mouth.
kind of an instrument that like I think it's for what is that? A cake? Is that cake piping? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Maybe, yeah.
And that it like he's pushing it from the other end of the funnel just to jam more food through the hole to get.
It's very Seven. It reminded me a lot of Seven.
That's actually I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
So then he gets force fed to the point where he chokes to death and dies.
And that was for me. That was of all the unpleasant murders and gore and all that. That was probably the worst for me. That was feeding him like the big spoons in his mouth. Even it's just like that's.
Yeah, it didn't help that like the whimsical music died off and it was just Vincent Price staring intently at him like, and you could just hear him like. It's like, oh, this movie got dark real quick. So now we go to. Devlin has been tricked by Edwina. It turns out Edwina has been working with her father, Vincent Price.
Yep.
Has lured Devlin to the theater. That's more so. He donks him on the head.
She donks him on the head. Yeah. And then the police with Devlin put a tracking device in the car, but then she puts the tracking device on a different car.
Yes.
And so they drive away to the theater. She does with Devlin's unconscious body.
Yeah.
And then the cops are after the tracking device that's just on the car.
Yes, and they have like one of the vagrants, and while he's in the hospital, the one cop is withholding the booze from him, and he's like, "You're going to tell me where Lionheart is, or you're not getting your booze." And then he gives him like a sip, and then he's like, "Before you get the rest, you have to tell me where Lionheart is." And the vagrant's just like, "I need it." Devlin wakes up. He's in a chair.
This is my favorite part of the movie.
He's in a chair. There are 2 like rails, one on the right side of his head, one on the left side of his head, and they go up. So it's like a roller coaster. It goes up in kind of like a U shape, and at the very
top. Have we
top.
Talked about this before?
I don't know
because it's so ridiculous. And even when I was watching it, I'm like, I feel like Josh and I have talked.
We
about
might have this. It
is so good.
On the top of the roller coaster, what would be the cart of the roller coaster is a box with like 2 blades sticking out of the front,
but it's got wheels.
And it's got wheels, so it'll go down the U-shaped rails and right toward Devlin's face. Mm-hmm. And they're 2 piping hot like blades that are going to stab him in the eyes.
Yes, they're just lined up just right to poke Devlin's eyes out. Yes, and Edward Lionheart's he's got a soliloquy going, but he's heating the blades up on these flames, and then he sets them in. Which, bear with me, I'm in my mid-40s, but I used to have a toy. It was a little Fisher-Price phone.
Okay,
and it had wheels.
Yes,
and so it had kind of a happy face. It looked like it was a square. It looked like the Fisher-Price phone. So it was this boxy thing, but you could put little knives, so it's gonna roll down.
Yes.
And then now that's the Rube Goldberg thing, because there was a bag of sand that.
Yes. So ideally, what they would do is, and what they do is, Vincent Price tells him, he says, "You need to award me the Critics' Choice Award for 1970 for my Shakespearean performances, and if you don't, this thing is going to roll down and poke both your eyes out." And I would imagine the blades are like 15 inches long. They're so massive. They're gonna go right through his head. Got your eyes. Oh, and your brains and the back of your head. I got everything. But they're gonna cut a bag of sand, and that as the sand falls out of the bag, it's
gonna make the
it goes up because there's less weight, so it gets lighter, and then as it goes up, the cart on the rail goes down. Yes. So it's being held by the bag of sand.
And it's important to note that before this contraption is set into motion, Vincent Price takes his hand and he backs the thing up the rails. So very little effort to move this thing up. to its starting point. That's very important to know.
It's also maybe that also might allude to does this thing have enough weight to poke his eyes out?
Maybe not.
It's just he's like, oh, it's a hollow box. I should have filled that with something.
Maybe
to
they're
give
just
more
really.
weight.
Maybe the blades are so hot that they'll do the work for him.
he's really. Devlin should have looked over and seen like the other bodies that were tested on, and it's just people who are like in kind of like some pain. They're not. They're just like, my eyes hurt.
Oh, and Devlin has like a belt on his chin where he has to look forward.
He couldn't. Yeah, and that's something where it's like he couldn't find something else to restrain. It's like the belt is like pretty loose.
Bad.
It's
looks
slack.
bad.
It's
Yeah,
slack.
yeah.
He's the best we could do.
But we're supposed to believe that he can't move his head and that these blades are going to poke his eyes.
It's funny, too, because as it's like, there are lots of shots where it's cutting to this contraption and the flaming or the hot blades, and then it's cutting back to Devlin, and he's like turning his head left and right. He's got so much range of motion to just get out of the way. But he's like, I would rather die.
I get what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
Devlin refuses to give the award in the face of death. He's like, Vincent Price is like, give me the award for this. And he's like, it's going to go to, he almost seems like he's going to give the award to him. And then he's like, the award goes to this other guy who won in 1970. He's like, more so he's like, your acting sucks. And Vincent Price just like, darn it. So he eventually decides, he's like, my daughter is going to award me the prize. And then the last thing you will see is me getting the trophy.
And this is where Edwina is revealed to be
she comes out
Lionheart's right-hand man.
She's like, I am a stinker. Adam, I completely missed that. So the guy in the glasses and the beard, that's his daughter.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, she
peeled the mustache off and took the glasses off.
That's okay. That makes
that's
perfect
cool that
sense.
you never.
I didn't even see.
Wow.
I didn't see it. I just missed a few things here and there as I was taking notes, and then I looked up and I'm like, oh, she must have just walked on the screen.
No, the whole time the right hand man was.
Oh, that makes it so much better. Yeah, because I totally didn't. I didn't
go
see
back
that at
and
all.
watch the very end just to see the reveal.
I kind of wondered because it looked like that guy was in a costume, and I'm like, is that 1970s, just like bad costumes, or is that person in a costume? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is that bad makeup? No, it actually was just a costume. So
kind of like Ian Anderson.
Yes. Yeah.
He pulled a flute out. It was
definitely 1970 beard, like motorcycle beard guy.
Yep. Saxophone player for the Muppets.
Yes, that's actually the name of the costume, like the Spirit Halloween. It says saxophone player for the Muppets on it. You're like, oh, cool! I can get I can be this for $55. Very cool.
Oh, look, it's got the whole band on the smock on the chest. Nobody will mistake what it is.
What is it? They never say hippie guy on the front of the costume. It's always just like 1970s fun-loving guy.
They go so far out of the way to explain what it is.
It's like you couldn't say like psychedelic dude or something. Right. It's like, nope, guy who loves to have fun who's also from this decade. So at this point, I think the Vincent Price is like, I've got the trophy. I'm going to just burn this place down. We get to the old cliche, you know how we're going to end this third act? Let's just burn this place to the ground. Mm-hmm. And so he starts, much like Madhouse, he like throws a torch up into the balcony and the thing explodes into fire.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool, like inferno scene.
Now the bag is the contraption has begun and the bag is slowly losing sand, so it's raising, and this death cart is coming down the rails with its hot blades. And
Vincent Price is like burning the place down. Edwina, who is in charge of crowd control, is trying to get the vagrants to help out and to be excited.
Burn things down.
And they're just not doing it. And they're like, I think they're the vagrants, I think at this point are like, okay, we're done. We're not helping anymore. We're getting abused.
All this stuff, yeah.
And so the female vagrant who attracted, or who pulled the other guy, the other critic in who they cut his heart out, she's there and she takes the trophy and smashes Edwina on the back of the head with it, which doesn't kill her instantly, but is a fatal blow. And she falls down. Now, the cops are just coming in. Mm-hmm. Vincent Price sees that his daughter has died. He quotes King Lear. She quotes it to him. She says, "How does my royal lord? How fares your majesty?" And he responds, "You do me wrong to take me out the grave." I think in some respect to just the fact that she's dying, this sort of thing. She picks her up and heads to the roof. Meanwhile, the cops show up and they're able to get Devlin out of this contraption.
And
this
that's
thing.
and that's the point that's the reason it's my favorite part is because the cops are wrestling with the belt and the restraints for Devlin.
Yeah.
Vincent Price himself pushed the thing. Like, you could have knocked it off the rails, but they're struggling to get him out of this. And then at the last minute they do, and then it comes down where his head would have been. All they had to do was push this toy box
Just,
off of the rails. But they're like, oh, quick. Oh, we can't get the belt.
What if it didn't have enough weight to it, so when it comes down the rails, it like went up the U shape, but then just fell back down into the just like
he just bonked his forehead.
Yeah, ow!
There's a little blood.
Oh no, I'm disfigured. We then have they get outside as the place is the cops and Devlin. They get outside while the place is ablaze, and we see Vincent Price, another fantastic stunt double wearing Vincent Price headpiece and beard, and he's got the fakest dummy thrown over his shoulder I ever did see as he climbs up onto the rooftop.
He's just scaling a building.
With
a body on it. Yes.
And he gets up there and he's got his daughter and he's like, oh, she's dead. And he's quoting more Shakespeare. He comes around to the front of the building, huge explosion, and then him and his daughter fall through. You watch just their flaming bodies fall through the ceiling and they hit the floor.
Back into the theater.
And then we cut to Devlin and the chief of police or the Scotland Yard guy. And he's like, I think he was quoting King Lear. And Devlin's just, he says...
Devlin's like, 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, he does. He says he was overreacting, but he didn't know how to make an exit.
Yep.
Like, that guy sucked. Yeah. And then he was like, lit a cigarette and walked off screen. It's like, after all of this death, he's just very like, I don't even know. What's the...
just flippant about...
Flippant, yes. Yeah. He's just very like, well,
all my friends are dead.
Yeah. 8 people dead? Who cares? That guy was a terrible actor. And that's the end of the film. And then it just kind of like, it just fades out from there. So... anything you wanted to add about the film Theater of Blood?
Well, it was. I really enjoyed it.
I did. I think it was with Madhouse. I think Madhouse is kind of a slower move, and so I'm kind of happy we had these two paired up because Theater of Blood, once it gets going, it just moves at a really good clip, and you're just waiting on the next death. So, but we'll get there. The next segment we are going to have a true or false trivia game. Adam is going to be in charge of that, and then we're going to get right into our likes and dislikes and finish out the episode. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Forgotten Frights. I'm Josh and I'm sitting here with Adam.
Hey, what's going on?
And for this segment, we are going to be doing the true or false trivia game. 5 questions, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to get into our likes and dislikes. So Adam, please take it away.
All right. For your trivia for the Theater of Blood, question number 1. Vincent Price had an affair with Coral Brown, which started on the set of this film.
Okay. I am somewhat familiar with this, but I don't know when. I'm going to say true.
It is true.
It is. Okay.
This would have been Vincent Price's 3rd wife, and he was still married to his wife Mary at the time.
Wow.
They were basically linked up by Diana Rigg, who played Edwina, because she saw how good their chemistry was. And
interesting.
So essentially, he ended up marrying Coral Brown at the end of this movie and divorcing Mary.
Interesting. So I wonder what the maybe I confused it too because I thought he had met somebody on the set of Madhouse, but maybe it was on the set of this film.
Yeah,
is this his 3rd wife?
This was his 3rd wife. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So the next year would be Madhouse because this is the year prior. This is 73. Madhouse was 74.
Correct.
So that makes sense. So he didn't go to Australia to lead a quiet life, as we had thought.
No.
In the previous. Okay.
Still womanizing.
So the philandering Vincent Price, who was like, I cannot help myself.
Yep.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So question number 2, Robert Faust, the director of the abominable Dr. Phibes movies, got the idea for those films from this movie.
Oh, man. We kind of talked about this, didn't we? This is very reminiscent of a Dr. Phibes. I'm gonna say false on this, and I'm gonna say his love of Shakespeare.
It is false.
It is.
Phibes 1 and 2 both were made before this movie.
They were.
Yes.
So he didn't get the idea for this.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did he get the idea from?
I didn't look up.
I wonder where he got the.
But I will say that this movie feels like a spiritual successor to the Phibes.
Does it?
movies.
Have you seen both films?
Yes.
Huh. I wonder if that's a question you ask him, and he's like, yeah, I did not get it from Dr. Phibes. So where'd you get it from? And he's like, Dr. Phibes.
Dr. Phibes 2.
Yeah, it was actually from the third one I didn't write, which is this film.
Number 3. So you have 2 for 2 so far.
Nice. Okay.
Number 3, the fencing scene was all performed by a stuntman for Vincent Price's part.
Okay. True.
That is false.
What?
Vincent Price had trained extensively in fencing early in his theatrical career and always had wanted to use it. So the director said, yeah, let's do this. Now, Vincent Price, when the movie came out, was upset because more of his scenes weren't used, but a lot of the scenes in the fencing, it was Vincent Price.
Because there is a stunt double, though.
Yeah, yes.
Yes, because I was like...
When he's doing the kick flip off the trampoline?
Yes, because the guy is like...
It's Peter Cushing, actually.
One of the guys is like... He's so bulky. He's so like... he's like so well muscled. I'm like,
yeah,
that's not Vincent Price. That can't be. He just suddenly got like a dumbbell set.
So you got 2 out of 3 so far.
All right.
Number 4, Lionheart's hideout was a condemned building for years before this production rented it.
I think we discussed that. That's true.
That is true.
Yes. That's
apparently it was condemned for 14 years, and then when they started using it, they rented it for like $173.
Really?
A month or a week or something.
Interesting. There was something I just. Boy, am I going to be able to remember what that is? It was something about renting a house that they could destroy. And what movie was it? I just learned about it. It wasn't Evil Dead. Though I think they rented a cabin. There was another one that they had. I'll think of what it is. I don't know if I'll remember at some point. But it was another film where they rented a house for very cheap so they could just put holes in it. And I don't remember what. I'm trying to remember what film that was.
Was it The Money Pit with Tom Hanks and Shelley Long?
No, it should be though.
Yeah,
no, this was something. Something I watched recently. No, I'm not going to be able to remember. If I think about it, I'll let you know.
So that gives you 3 for 4. So number 5, Price had to be talked into doing this role.
Because of Phibes, and Phibes came out, and Rises Again. That came out before. I'm going to say true, because why would he want to do another one?
It's false.
God.
Vincent Price was very excited to do this film. He had trained extensively in Shakespearean theater and never got to use it. So, this film was like, I think it's crazy to think that he wanted to use fencing.
Yes.
He just had this need to get Shakespearean role out. So it's just like it feels like
this is a hit list for him.
And then just from after I watched this movie this past time, I thought, man, this might be my favorite Vincent Price movie.
It's really good.
And then I looked online. It's like, that's kind of the consensus.
This is like the best Vincent Price film?
It's the best. And then he thought it was his best movie, and Diana Rigg thought it was her best movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's definitely interesting that Vincent Price is like, I have all this fencing knowledge. I have to use it here. I have all this Shakespearean knowledge. I have to use it here. I have all this cooking knowledge. I have to make pasties.
Let's do a cooking scene.
I have all this knowledge about how to be a philanderer. I have to use it here. I have to do everything I can in order to. These are all my skills. Yeah. It's my best film. Very cool. So I ended up. Oh, was that 3? It was a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, why don't we just get into likes and dislikes? Do you mind if I start?
Go ahead.
So I think, we already discussed Vincent Price. He's so super, he's vindictive and sarcastic. Great performance. there are just amazing comedic moments in this movie that I think are like we said in that the Black Cat segment from Tales of Terror, that has such good comedic timing. And actually, having listened to Roger Corman talk about that particular segment from Tales of Terror, he was like, "Well, we were going for like a comedic piece, but I think because of Vincent Price's ability as an actor, and because all evidence shows he's a funny guy, and in that way, it's very much it works really well. So all the comedy kind of like hits the marks. Everything's on point there, and there's also there's a difference between that was amusing, that was interesting, to actually some very funny moments that got me to laugh. So loved it. The decapitation, the costumes, giant afro, all perfect in there. I think the kills are very creative. I love the conceit of the kills. It's actually what I wanted to see from Madhouse, and I think I mentioned in the previous episode, this idea of if you're going to do kills and you're going to tie them together thematically, why not make them relate to something? So it's not just like Lon Chaney Jr. from The Wolfman, strangling somebody, a two-handed strangle. Can we get creative? Can we make the kills matter to the plot? Are they thematically tied? And I think that's really important to a film. And I think it's why some slasher films ultimately fail, or they just end up being boring, because you don't get any Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. When you really hit the drag and it really sucks is when it's just really boring, mundane. They don't, the kills don't deal with anything. It's when you have something like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's they're in a slaughterhouse. You're going to see kills that relate to the slaughterhouse, right? Yeah. And then you go, okay, well now I'm invested in the kills because I want to see what machinery he's going to use to disembowel these people. We have that in loads here of just awesome kills of Shakespearean inspired. It's very cool. It's very creative. So I appreciate that, and I liked it, and it kept me engaged while I was going. Also, the theme of just murdering critics is deliciously wonderful. I said that's such a fun thing. It's like lawyers and critics. It's who's the bigger enemy of humanity. So I love that. And then I actually wrote here, because you had mentioned it, the Seven plotting. It's like the movie Seven, and I wonder if is that David Fincher, if he was watching this and he's like, I have a great idea for a film. Yeah, we're gonna feed the guy endless pies. Okay, spaghetti, whatever it is. But I love that, because it also it kind of harkens back to another film we covered, which is The Haunted Palace, where it has that Tarantino-esque turn about 3/4 of the way through the film, where Vincent Price is suddenly assassinating people on the streets. Yeah, and it's just like a little moment in the film. It's I think one of the best parts of the movie. It really is, where he's going around. Montage. Yes, the montage of him murdering people, and this has it where it's just that's the movie here, and that's great. It's just great, and it's so entertaining. Yeah, so that's what I got.
I just, before I get into my thoughts, from what you just mentioned about the Wolfman, I would love to see a new, with all the CG technology, I'd love to see a realistic werewolf strangle someone to death. So let's make that happen for 2026.
Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, just strangle. Never uses his teeth.
What if it's American Werewolf in London? It's like that kind of werewolf. Yep. But it's still strangling.
Just strangling with his paws. It's really hard to do because he's got paws. But that's what he knows. For me, this movie. So this movie was, I think it was produced by Amicus Films, and I'm a huge mark for Amicus. All the Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt, Asylum, The House of Drip Blood. So many great anthology movies. This movie the fact that Amicus is attached. It's not lost on me that it feels like an anthology movie. Mm-hmm. Every story seems like its own story. Every kill feels like its own story. So that was it was awesome to watch. If there's even if this is your cup of tea, you have to watch this movie for the costumes and for any time Vincent Price is on screen. Mm-hmm. He does such a good job of what is the phrase? He chews the scenery. This is his. I feel like this is his best performance. He's funny. He yeah, there's gruesome parts of the movie, but I've attached myself more to the comedic aspect of this movie. I mean, and it's a good watch. It's a quick watch. It's a through line. You know, there's not a lot of questions at the end. It's a very good flick. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I think the what is it that you just mentioned it there at the tail end. I think it's
the comedic aspect.
The comedic aspect, but having like the little like the vignettes there, like, and I know I mentioned vignettes before, but like the little that each kill could be its own thing, you know. I think that's like the best aspect of it. Oh, you know what it was? It's his best performance, and I don't. I've seen a good deal of Vincent Price films. I almost wonder as we continue to explore these movies. I mean, this isn't the last Vincent Price film we will review. We apparently have. What do we have? 22.
Well, yeah, he's got a bunch from those so-and-sos over at AI.
Yeah, I forget what he mentioned, what he called them, but yeah.
Me too.
So I almost wonder when we look, because I think about like House on Haunted Hill and some of those older films. You know, even if we look at Dr. Phibes in retrospect or in hindsight, I wonder how that looks. But this for sure, I agree with you, and just his. It's so over the top, but it works.
If not his best, it's one of his very best.
It's got to be.
It's a really fun watch.
So that's all I've got. Anything you want to add to Theater of Blood?
I would like to point, backtracking to our last episode a little bit, and then this movie. You know, in the last movie that we covered, Madhouse, in the beginning of the movie, and I know I tend to talk about this a lot, but it's amazing that it's so prevalent. In the last movie, his wife that he was going to get married to, she turned out to do some adult film things.
Yes, yeah.
And she was ostracized for it. Mm-hmm. And in this movie, the man's wife was getting massaged. Lionheart was completely like, whatever, just get out of this room so I can strangle my wife to death. It's just a crazy way to think about things where it's just like, you harlot, you lady, how dare you? It's like, I mean, this is old as time. It takes two to tango. What are we doing here?
You know, I'm glad you brought that up because the husband, as he doesn't strangle her. I guess he smothers her with a pillow,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
And as he's doing that, he says, "You strumpet."
Yeah.
He calls her a strumpet.
Yeah. That's some strong language, man.
Chill out,
it's
buddy.
like those people at American International.
Yeah.
Strumpets.
Yeah.
I think that's what he said.
Is that what he called them?
Pretty sure.
I think he said he's like, you dunderheads. I think that's what he called them. You jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do we want to talk about? I may or may not keep this part in, but do you want to talk about the next two films?
Yeah, sure.
We want to do. So I think I would love to do Omega Man with
it.
Charlton Heston. So I think we should definitely do that. I haven't seen that movie in a while. So
last time I saw it, I think was with you.
Okay, yeah. So it was some time ago, and I think that was a long time ago. So I think there was there's got to be a ton of stuff in there. Now, what else do we want to do? Something that's like a Heston back-to-back where we do that and Soylent Green?
I'd be down. I mean, Soylent Green is one of those, well, maybe Omega Man's more popular than I think it is, but I know that I don't know.
And I don't know because now we have I Am Legend with Will Smith, and that kind of that's why I was happy we went back and did Last Man on Earth.
Yeah.
Because I think, these are forgotten. Last Man on Earth is not a film that I see reference. I'm sure in some circles it's popular. And then Omega Man is that even,
that's a good point. It's probably just something that you and I and it's in our purview, but I don't know if everybody's that familiar with it. So yeah,
my concern with Soylent Green is that it's going to be like Silent Running, and it's going to be very slow.
It is. I remember it being
because there's like the one part from Soylent Green that if
sweaty.
Anybody remembers it, that's what it
the
is.
part that Phil Hartman did on Saturday Night Live.
Yes,
it's paper.
Yeah.
You know what? What I think we should do is let's do Omega Man for sure, and then let's do a little research to see if we can find other Heston movies from the time, or maybe even movies like the Omega Man that aren't necessarily horror. Maybe they have more of a sci-fi twist.
Yeah, and I wonder if we could find something from the And we definitely can, but maybe something from the 50s or 60s.
Sure.
That's like an old sci-fi film. There is one I watched not too long ago about time travelers. It's not good. But
Was it called The Time Travelers?
I think it was called The Time Travelers.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
And there's like mutant people. It's just like they stole the idea from H.G. Wells, and they were like, let's run with it. Let's do a bad version of the time machine.
the time contraption.
Yes, that's pretty much what it ended up being. So anyway, so we will dig in and we'll find a couple of films. Definitely Omega Man and something else. So cool. So thank you for sticking around and listening to another episode of Forgotten Frights. And we will see you on. Well, we won't see you, but you'll hear from us on the next episode. So good fright and good night.